Hey guys, what's happening? Thanks for watching and tuning in and coming back and all that stuff. I really appreciate it. It's always fun to make videos, have you guys come watch them, give me feedback, leave comments and stuff. I appreciate it. I'm having fun. Hope you're getting something out of it. And today we're going to be talking about Topaz Studio. So I've been using it quite a bit lately, working on a number of different filters in there, playing around, experimenting, trying to learn more and get better at it. And there's a filter I've been having a lot of fun with, and it's called focal blur. Now, to clarify, it is a pro adjustment or a pro filter, which means you have to purchase it. So if you're not familiar with Topaz Studio, the base product is free, which includes 10 filters or 10 adjustments. And then there's a number of pro adjustments you can buy either from their website or through the app, and you have to pay for those, right? Let me jump into Studio, show you these things, and get started. So here I am. I've got this photo. And I made some basic adjustments to it using some of the free filters. So basic adjustment, brightness, contrast, and dual tone, which is basically split toning. So I took the photo from that to that. Just amped up the colors, a little bit of contrast, a little bit of brightness, that sort of thing. Now, as I said, Topaz Studio is a free product for the base product with 10 filters or 10 adjustments. And they are here, right? So there's 1 through 10. Anything above this gray line is included for free. I've got a link down below to Topaz Studio where you can get that free download if you want to try it out. Anything below the gray line, so abstraction all the way down to texture, those are all pro adjustments, and they all have different prices, but you do have to purchase those. So focal blur, which I'm going to work on now, is a pro adjustment. It sells for $10, and it basically allows you to create custom blur effects. So as the name applies, you can blur focus. So you can focus specifically on a certain part of the image and blur the rest out. So you can simulate like a circular focal area with blur, or you can simulate like a tilt shift. So let's do that now. So the first thing you'll notice is when you click on that, it defaults to this. So I've got a circle, and you can just grab this and move it anywhere you want. I want to focus in on that distant sort of church steeple and statue. If you want to change the shape or size, you can do that like this, and by moving these things around and grabbing these boxes out here will expand the entire size of the shape, right? So it's currently an oval, although we're in kind of what's called circular blur. If you want to hide that, you can just click on that button. Now, there's 2 sliders here to play with. One is blur and one is transition. So blur, as the name implies, to the right you increase the amount of blur, and to the left you decrease, right? All the way to the left at 0 means no blur, so it's not blurry at all. I probably want to go kind of light. I don't want to oversell it. I'm not trying to do this, crazy, wow, look at that kind of thing. I'm just trying to do kind of a soft focus effect or a focal effect. And so I think I'm at 12, right? So that looks pretty good. Transition, the transition zone is inside that shape. And so if you notice, I'll tell you what I'll do. If you go all the way to the right, it smooths out, it makes it more of a gradient, if you will. Whereas if you go all the way to the left, it's a very hard stop between what's in focus and what's not. So if you look at this bush here, you can see it's all clear, 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 and then as soon as you hit where that transition zone starts, it's a hard stop and it goes completely blurry, and that's because I put transition at 0. So I want to move that, I like it kind of smoother, something like that. So that's giving me a nice focal area in the center of the frame, and the rest is blurred. That's how circular blur works. Now, I also meant to tell you that there's a couple of different presets built in. You can get a center focus, you can get a soft foreground or soft sky. And if you'll notice the sliders down below, they are moving and adjusting as I highlight over these, and the photo is also adjusting to reflect that preset, right? So just FYI, those presets are there. I'm going to stick with what I had. And so far, so good. Now, you can also do a tilt shift. And so I'm going to click on tilt shift. And tilt shift, if you haven't used a tilt shift lens, or if you're just not familiar with them, it basically creates a thin slice in the photo that's in focus. A lot of people use them on like high vantage point city shots, and they just make a street clear and the rest kind of blurry, things like that. I'll show you how it works. Tilt shift here, so the amount of blur is the amount of blur. So to the right is more blur, to the left is less. Size is, it's actually increasing to the right or left, decreases the size of the area that's in focus. So in this case, I wanted to make it a little bit larger, so I drag it to the right. Position is moving that up or down in the photo. So to the left is going to move it down, and to the right is going to move it up, right? You can kind of see the photo adjusting. Now, I'm going to move it to about there. because that's pretty focused on that row of hedges and that steeple, and things below it and above that are all kind of out of focus. You can also rotate if you need to. So if you're looking down at a city street and want to rotate it, you can shift it, right? So that's how that works. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to increase the amount of blur. And so if you take a look at it and maybe change the position a little bit and increase the size of the area that's in focus, just so I'm getting all that hedge. I think I'm just skimming the top of it now, so pretty good. I just want to make sure I got the steeple and the hedge in focus. And now I'm going to drag a little bit more blur. And so all I'm doing is I'm making it look as though I shot this with a lot wider open aperture, to where I've got a thin strip of focus and the other stuff is blurred. It's kind of a blurry sky and kind of blurry water, and I like that on the water especially. I think that looks really good here. So let me turn this filter off, which you do by clicking on this eyeball. And there's the photo. In particular, look at the water, and there it is with the blur applied. So that's basically how it works. Let me show you a couple of other examples. This next one is a street scene. This is Dublin, and I did the basic adjustments here. Really not much to do, just a little bit of enhancement. I'm going to go get focal blur. And now in this case, again, the circular thing I think can work well, although I don't think I want a straight circle. I want more of an oval. And one of the things I want to do here is kind of create, let me give you a philosophical comment here, and that is, if you're using focal blur in a situation like this where you have a person that's walking into the frame, I'm going to actually increase the blur and make the transition. No. I'm going to go a little, actually, I'm going to go a little bit less. I'm going to go wider on this, though. Let me get back to my philosophy here. I think it's okay for the stuff behind this young lady who's walking down the street. I think the stuff behind her to be blurry, totally fine. In some ways, it's like, hey, that's the past, that's the history. We don't really care about history, so if it's blurry, who cares? But the future, what lies ahead of her, is in focus. I think a photo like this, philosophically, you need to have the stuff that she's walking into be in focus, because otherwise, if it's blurry, you're going to be kind of like, well, she's in focus and everything else is kind of blurry. I don't know. To me, it doesn't make any logical sense to have that blurry. So I think it works well to have a shape like that, or to go tilt shift in this case, right, which I'm going to do now. So increase the blur, increase the size a little bit. Let's find the right position, something about like that. I think maybe a little bit more size, just to make sure I capture everything down the center. And then I can increase the blur if you want. And there you go, same kind of thing. It's a clean strip through the center. That's the thing about tilt shift. You're not adjusting the shape of it. It's a thin strip all the way across. Well, as thin as you make it be based on the size slider. But that's how tilt shift works, and I think it works really well in this case, because you have basically the core of the photo, which is that slice of the street is in focus. The other stuff is, it's ornamental, for lack of a better word, right? The kind of stuff above with the sky, it's not a stunning sunset, it's a blue hour. That's not the focal point of the photo. The street is not really the focal point of the photo either. So, you have, I think tilt shift works well in that case. I'm going to go get one more photo, and we'll do this one more time. Okay, so this is a photo I previously edited in Luminar, so I'm not even going to do any editing here other than focal blur. And on a cityscape, I mentioned earlier, tilt shift was often used at high vantage point city shots to make a street in focus. I think you don't want a circular blur in this case really ever at all. My opinion, feel free to disagree, that's okay. Just personal preference. So in this case, I'm going to increase the size a little bit, and I'm going to drag the position a little bit down. So I want to get that slice right there in focus, maybe a little bit larger on the size, something like that. And there you go. That's a complete simulation of a tilt shift lens. I don't need to rotate it. I don't really need to do anything else. I think tilt shift works wonders here. Let me turn the filter off. Hey, everything's in focus. I shot it at, I don't know what, F9 or something, whatever. Anyway, it's all in focus, and now it's a tilt shift sort of look. And, this is kind of what some people call miniature cities. But anyway, it's a popular look among some people. I kind of like it. It can be done well. This is a decent example, probably not a great example, but I'm just trying to make the point. But it can be done really well and make a really interesting photo. I think it's also particularly useful if Some of the other stuff, as I said in the last photo, is kind of ornamental or just not attractive at all, just kind of in the way. It's good to kind of blur that out and get rid of it. And so that's what I like about focal blur. That's how I use it. That's 3 different photo examples. Again, it's right here. It is a pro adjustment. It's $10, I think $9.99 American. A link down below, which is an affiliate link. I make a small commission if you purchase anything at that link, and I appreciate it. It helps me fund the things that I do here to provide training for you guys, so it's kind of a win-win. And that's it for this video, my friends. I appreciate you watching very much. Hope you have fun blurring your focal areas. Well, no, actually, you want your focal area to be clear. You want to blur the stuff outside of the focal area. Whatever, you know what I'm saying. Have fun with focal blur if you get it, and I'm going to have more Topaz Studio videos coming soon, as well as a lot of other stuff that I'm working on. So thanks for watching. Come back soon, subscribe, like, hit the bell to stay notified of new videos coming, and share with your friends. And don't forget to leave a comment. Let me know what you think about this and any other ideas you might have for future videos. That's it. I'm going to shut up. Have a great one. Thanks for watching. Take care, and adios.